Taking off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I was late. Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy, T.O. Juno.
It's your boy O-Rain, real name, no games, no gimmicks.
Yo, it's the motherfucking Fade Podcast, the one-stop shop, just as a fucking helicopter passes overhead. That's how we like to start things here at the podcast, unscheduled. But this is the Fade Podcast, the one-stop shop for everything TV, media, and film related, along with any of the goddamn thing we'll talk about, comes to you live direct. Half of us, Proof of Concept Studios. We are clearly doing remote today, which is, I mean, it's the new norm, man. It's the new norm. It's not, it used to be that, wait, you can't show up to the office? The fuck?
There's been, you be having, people have court online today.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not sure if you've seen any clips from the Johnny Depp defamation lawsuit.
Dude, I ain't watching that shit, man.
With Amber Heard.
I'm not watching that shit.
I think it was someone who was testifying on behalf of Amber Heard, or I think it was a former security guard actually who was like subpoenaed to testify, and he zoomed in. I'm pretty sure he zoomed in like from his car. Like he was either smoking and driving at the same time.
Jesus Christ!
Driving at the same time.
What the fuck? In
the middle of his like deposition, while he was zooming in live in court, I think he was just like, "Yo, I gotta go." And just hung up. So it's like, and it's funny. I seen a clip the other day online. It was like this guy. He was supposed to be in court for driving with a suspended license, right? And he zoomed into his court hearing from his car while driving. And the judge was like, "You're here for a suspended license, but I can tell that you're driving your car right now as we're on this." And he was like, no, I'm not driving. She was like, "Yes, you are." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm just like parking this car for a friend of mine." And the judge is like, "You shouldn't be, even if it's to drive 10 feet, you shouldn't be behind the wheel of a car if your license is suspended."
Yo.
And definitely not while you're like on Zoom.
Yo, I mean, but if you're the judge, you just recognize game. Like, you know what? I like your confidence, sir. That you thought you could get away with it.
I guess so. I guess, like, you know, over Zoom, the judge loses all power because they can't be like bailiff, you know what I mean? Or you can't slam the gavel, like, order in the court.
Yeah,
like, put you on mute.
Like, you can't, there's only so much you can do, but also, like, you look kind of dumb trying to enforce some shit, and the dude's like, "You're breaking up. The connection's a little shaky. I can't hear you." Didn't catch that.
As a judge, you can't be like, "Pull over right now." He's like, "Nah, I'm riding right now. I'm on 95. Where I'm gonna pull over?"
Yo, nobody would ever listen to you again, yo. If you would just try to do shit in the court, and the bailiff be like, "Man, shut up."
Yeah. But check this out, though. So we got some breaking news here. So this is just reported by TMZ that the Kardashians have actually won their $100 million defamation lawsuit that was filed by Blac Chyna. So if you remember Blac Chyna, she had a show, I believe it was on Zeus Network. And I think she was was in talks with like E! to have like her own show, like Being Blac Chyna or something like that.
Yeah.
And the Kardashians were essentially a part of why her show got canceled. And she was estimated to make like several, like $50 million or she claims $100 million if she had actually went through with that show.
Nobody's giving her fucking $100 million.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing it. Give me
but like the Kardashians intervened. Apparently there were a few like nasty emails sent with the producers at E! They intervened in some way, shape, or form, and it's essentially allegedly were a part of having the show canceled.
Yeah.
So Blac Chyna filed this $100 million defamation suit.
Yeah.
They've been in court for weeks now, and I think the ruling just came down that she's essentially like lost in that trial, which I imagine the Kardashians are going to countersue, and then she may have to like pay a civil penalty in some way, shape, or form. So sucks for Blac Chyna. These
Kardashians are the mafia of fucking TV. Like what the fuck? Like, because
them and Ryan Seacrest might be the most powerful people.
Yo, without having any evidence whatsoever, I'm just gonna say what Fithio said. Yeah, that nigga did that shit. Like they definitely did
Yeah,
that. Like
they did.
they 100%. Like I
I mean,
don't.
they had emails and text messages and like communication of them like essentially like bad mouthing her and kind of like talking down on her, which could be a reason why someone loses $100 million contract, right?
Yeah.
But in these cases, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. It can't be circumstantial; it has to be definitive, right? And I don't think she was able to provide enough definitive evidence for the judge to rule in her favor.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, look, in this, there's no good actors. And I think that there's a lot of people out there who defend people just because they have some sort of like, if you're black, then I'm gonna root for you in any sort of situation. I don't care what the scenario is. I'm gonna root for you. Although people, I'm sure, were very confused when it came to OJ. They were like, I don't know about this one, champ. Like we might have to, take this L. But in this case, yeah, I don't look from everything that I've heard about Black China, and just it's just like, man, just go find your peace, man. Like you know what I mean? Like, and obviously maybe she was trying to find her peace with this new deal, but I doubt that. It's probably just like, hey, how much shit can you give us on the Kardashians? Because she was already talking about Rob crazy. You know what I mean? Which I don't know. I don't know if Rob Kardashian's a piece of shit. I have no idea, right? But it's just like, I'm gonna relate this back to other TV and shit. So I just watched the first episode. We were just talking about it right before the episode, before we start recording. I just watched the first episode of the Ozarks, and of the second half of season 4. And the thing that I could surmise, man, is like, people have to know when they just go find your peace, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes, man, just get away from it all, man. Fuck it all. Just leave it all behind, man. Like, you have a choice, you know what I mean? In what you do. That's why I respect the shit out of those people who they get to Hollywood, they do something, and then they're like, man, fuck this shit. And then they just leave, and just never turn back, I respect the shit out of that so much, man. Not because I hate Hollywood, but because I respect it when you know your own like limit of just like, I just want to go have a peaceful life.
I'm willing to go this far, but I'm not willing to compromise like either who I am or like my art or my I'm not willing to like put up a facade. I've made enough money. I can bow out.
Yeah.
Black China, she made a post recently complaining about how she had to like, she got like 3 of her cars repoed because Tyga and Rob Kardashian like don't pay her enough in child support. Where it's like, what a great problem to have. Oh, 3 of my 5 cars got repossessed. Where it's like, you still have 2, and I'm sure very nice cars. And a part of it was like, and then Tyga issued a statement saying that like his kid actually lives with him, and he pays like $80,000 a year for his kid to go to a private school. So it's like if the kid lives with him and he pays money for private school, and he's obviously the primary caretaker, why would he even have to pay child support?
Would it matter?
Yeah. So I imagine this show was a majority of it was going to be her just spilling tea about her relationship with Tyga and her relationship with Rob Kardashian and his connection to the Kardashians. And I imagine that the producers at some point may have been like, hey, you know what? There's not enough here. There's not enough like content here.
Nah, now they'll put any trash on TV these days. They'll put anything on TV.
That's true.
So I don't doubt for a second that the Kardashians definitely put the kibosh on it and said, nah, we'll and the Kardashians don't even have a relationship with E anymore. So it actually kind of the timeline actually makes sense, right? Or I don't know if they don't have a relationship with E anymore. They're just not, the show is done on E, but is existing on Hulu for some reason. And so. Yeah, I don't know, man. Big fucking shit pile of mess that thing is. Breaking news, as you said before, with Black China losing, I guess, her case against them. And it shows you, man. Pays to be powerful, I guess, or maybe vice versa as well, but it goes both ways.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they bought that case weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a wrap. They were just laughing at her. Like, oh yeah, try. Bless your heart, for trying.
It was like when the Giants interviewed Brian Flores. Remember the Miami head coach who got fired out of it, and the Giants were like, yeah, we're gonna bring you in for an interview on Monday, but they had already
Uh,
hired somebody Friday
yeah, yeah,
before.
yeah,
They just wanted to make it like, it was for show, like, oh yeah, no, we interviewed a black head coach.
yeah,
So the judge in the Kardashian case is like, yeah, I'll hear the case,
yeah.
but the wire transfer hit a week ago.
Yeah. What you want me to do? Like, dude, and that all relates, man, to you said it before, man. Just knowing when to like just dip out and just say, you know what, fuck it. It's this is the direction I'm going in. Because we got a couple directors, man, who they uh they basically were just like deuces, to huge projects. We got John Watts, who's exiting Fantastic Four, as well as Jason Lin, or Justin Lin. I'm sorry, I said Jason. Justin Lin, who's exiting the Fast and Furious. I think both 10 and 11. Although it's been weird, like they're basically saying like they're only shooting 10, but it's going to be like a two-parter. But I don't know what the fuck they're doing with it. But
I
anyways,
thought 9 was supposed to be a two-parter.
no,
And
no, no, no. The
really?
10 was supposed to be a two-part. I
My
know. How are you going to
God.
squeeze two movies out of this plot? I don't know. I don't know. It's Fast and Furious. What are you going to do? But anyways, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about John Watts here in a moment, but then Justin Lin, we're going to talk about a little later on in the show. But yeah, man, without further ado, let's just jump into the shit, man. Let's talk about what's happening this week. We got some headlines. Dude, a lot going on right now, especially this week. So first and foremost, man, we've got the movie that everybody's been waiting for like the last like 2 years, right? Even more than uh, Spider-Man: No Way From Home, even more than fucking any of the series
Black
that have gotten put out,
Widow,
like any of that
uh,
shit. Everybody's been waiting for
10
Doctor Strange,
Things.
man.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is upon us. It is dropping this week. I have not procured tickets yet, but you know what? I think what I might do with this one, because what I've been doing with the last like few of these like sort of like big huge movies. I think I did this with No Way From Home. I just go and I buy one ticket and I just go see it myself because trying to plot out anything else, especially when everything's sold out and you got to figure out seats and shit. This is like, it's too complicated. I'll see it once by myself, so I can just say that I saw it, and then
Yeah.
I'll figure out all the other shit when we all get our act together.
Yeah, man, it's nice seeing a movie by yourself, especially if it's a movie that you care about
It's so
and like
easy,
you're
dude.
invested in,
So easy.
and you really, really want to pay attention
Mhm.
without. And even when you're there with like your significant other or a friend or whoever it might be, a part of it is still like, oh, like, how are they responding? How are they reacting to the movie, right? This crazy thing just happened. You're kind of just like paying attention to their reaction to it as well.
Yeah.
But it is nice going and just like only worrying about yourself, how you perceive it, how you're reacting to it, and like, catching little nuggets and like having that like game inside your head where it's just like, oh, I get that. Oh, I get that reference. Or like, oh, that's connected to another movie. Oh, that's like that character. I know who that person is. Especially when like the person you're with or everyone else in the audience may not get that. Like, oh, that's another Marvel character that they just sneak peeked. And I may be the only one in the theater who caught that. It's always a good feeling.
You're never the only person in the theater who caught that.
oh,
Everybody, everybody fucking knows what's going on.
There have been times when I'm like, I know what's really going on here, and I can tell no one else in the theater does.
All right. But you know what I do miss though, if after going alone, I do cherish the going alone to the theater. But what I miss is the after movie debrief that always happens, right?
Yeah.
You spend at least 15, 20 minutes chopping it up about what you just saw, especially if it was fire. Oh man, like that after movie chat is it's irreplaceable. Because it's your fresh thoughts. You're going back and forth, and then in there. And what I love doing is you're gonna shout out to my man Dan. We sometimes we go him and his wife go with me and my partner, and then we just have like this group conversation, and then they'll say some shit that I'm like, yo, damn, I wasn't even thinking about that. You know what I mean? Like they'll say some shit that's just like, oh shit, okay, that's not even where my focus was, but thank you for bringing that up. So it's always good to sort of mix it up. But with a movie like this, I'm just gonna go see it, and then because it's going to get ruined and it's all because of social media. It's all going to get ruined. And I have no taste for it.
they've already leaked. in the Marvel trailers, that the official trailers that were released, like they sneak peeked a lot of characters, right? We got a little bit of, we saw Captain Marvel, we saw
not Captain Marvel. I don't know if Captain Marvel.
Well, it was a character
from Captain Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a character that we all thought was Captain Marvel. A lot of people thought it was rumored to be Tom Cruise playing one of those like comic character, or Ultra Iron Man, I think the character is. We got the sneak peek from Captain Carter.
Yeah, Captain
we got
Carter,
Miss Marvel. We got a bunch of people, right? We got sneak peeks of Professor X and the Illuminati, which has been confirmed.
Oh God, it's just like, yo, I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know.
Yeah, that one was confirmed by the producers. Though,
I knew it was going to happen, but I just let me walk into it. But if they're telling us all this shit, that just must mean like the shit that they have in the store that we don't know about must be off the charts.
And unfortunately, don't search on the internet too hard, but unfortunately, a lot of that stuff, like they gave us a lot, like, oh yeah, Professor X, the Illuminati, Captain Carter, but they were keeping a lot of their cards close to the chest, right? But unfortunately, a lot of that stuff got leaked recently as well.
I don't want to know.
So
don't tell me.
If I don't want to know either, which is why I haven't searched, Googled it to see what is what.
No, I might not even search showtimes. I might just show up at the theater. I'm just gonna show up.
Yeah,
at this to see what happens.
There's gonna be a movie playing every 30 minutes. So you can't go wrong. It's like flights to Miami. There's one every hour leaving somewhere.
Man.
But yeah, man, I'm excited for that too.
Sure.
I'm excited to see like what this movie is going to tell us about what's happening next.
Yeah. Sorry.
But I did hear a hot take, which is very interesting. I want to get your take on this.
Okay. Shoot.
Doctor Strange's powers, or his display of his powers thus far, has been kind of underwhelming, and I agree with that because we've seen him do some crazy stuff. We've seen him bend time and reality, and he can do the thing and make the shield, and so he can create weapons and he can do like really cool stuff. But there's not been anything that I've seen Doctor Strange do power wise that I'm like, holy crap, this is one of the powerful characters in the MCU. Well, I don't really see much of that.
So and I'm going to completely make this up on the spot, but what you don't want to put yourself in the box of is the Superman I don't want to say complex, the Superman situation.
I think complex is probably the right word, where like Superman gets more and more powerful every character, movie or every comic book.
Well, your character gets so strong that it's kind of just like, well, why is he struggling in any movie? You know what I mean? It's hard to base a movie around somebody who can do everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's why a lot of Superman movies suck. It's just because it's like, what is he wasting his time with these with these mops for? Just go do some fucking Hulk shit and then fucking dip out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because based on the comic books, I remember there was this one comic where Earth was drifting out of orbit and the planet was gonna die.
So he's like, not on my watch, nigga.
He pushed the planet back into orbit, and it's like, what? Okay. But he's having trouble with street level stuff. Like, come on now, what's going on? So yes, I do get that point, right? Whereas we don't want to see Doctor Strange be like too powerful to where it, the opposition that he faces seems inadequate. It's like, why is he having trouble with these these like average motherfuckers when he could do this like cosmic, nonsense. But I still do think that the display of his powers thus far has been like kind of underwhelming for me. I love Doctor Strange. I love Benedict Cumberbatch, but I hope in this movie we see him really like flex his muscles.
Well, I think we're going to. I think we're going to see.
I can't believe I just said that.
It's okay. It's okay. Hey, all's fair in the MCU. But I think we're going to see him kind of go ham a little bit. But I think it's going to maybe come at a cost, and I think that's as the old saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think that's going to be sort of the basis of the movie, right? Is that both he and Wanda have gotten so powerful to the point where they're an existential threat to like reality, and so that's why they might need to be reined in, and then again, I don't know. I've gone out of my way not to know too much about the movie, but I suspect that the plot is somewhere within that vicinity of like both he and Wanda have just been doing shit that is just so out of control that they're just like the the multiverse is just like bring these two in, we got to rein these guys in before they fuck everything up. But in any case, I think Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is going to be it's going to reset the tempo for the MCU, because we've been kind of floating out in space right now. Both even with the shows that they're putting out, but also with the movies that they're putting out. It seems like nothing's really, like, we had the Avengers to kind of hold us together, but now it just feels like there's just like a whole bunch of like loose things that are kind of loosely tied together but aren't really, and that's what we appreciated about the first four. I forget what phase we're in, but the first few phases that we've got.
Yeah, I believe we're in phase 4.
We're in phase 4, right? Okay, so the first 3 phases that we got, they were so neatly sort of tied together that, and then when DC tried to replicate that, you saw how that went for them, that they just could not replicate it, so they just started going to the individual movies. So I feel like you have to pick a lane. You can't just, it's not enough to pick like kind of tying everything together, but not really. You gotta either just everything's solo by itself and nothing's connected, or everything's connected and we get to see some sort of payoff,
Or you just have to map out a strategy that like, hey, this thing is going to take like 10 years to accomplish, because there's so much like finite storytelling that needs to be told. I mean, all the movies that we got took 20 years, just over 20 years.
It did, but you saw how they built on one another. It was like they just stacked one thing after another, right? Like you saw how we went from the first Iron Man to what we get Thor after that, to Captain America, and then you saw like the sequels of how, and then those all led up to the Avengers movie, and then the Avengers movie will lead to more sequels, and then everything felt like it stacked on each other. With this, I don't know what fits together with anything. The only thing I can kind of know for sure is that Spider-Man No Way From Home definitely ties into Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. But besides that, and I guess you could argue WandaVision as well, but I don't know where Captain.
I mean, we're gonna get a lot of tie-in here. So you're gonna get WandaVision, you're gonna get Loki, you're gonna get.
Are we gonna get Loki?
Yep. So Loki ties into this, because remember in Loki.
I guess We started up with Kang, in that. But I guess
what I'm get Captain America and the Falcon, because next we're gonna see Anthony Mackie's Falcon Dawn, and he truly become Captain America. I think he's going to be a big, if I understand correctly, he's going to be a part of this story too. So, we got. I think this is gonna do what the Avengers did. It's going to bring in like all these like pieces that are floating out in space, and it's going to kind of start to tie them together. And then we're going to have some type of picture of like, all right, what does the next phase of the MCU look like? Really interesting timing too. There was a report that came out that said Kevin Feige and a lot of the executives at Marvel and writers and producers had a meeting this week. I think it's like some destination somewhere. I forget exactly where they went, but they're starting to map out and plan out what the next phase. So like phase 5.
So that's what I find. That's what I find really interesting though, right? Is that like, I feel like they had like the first 3 phases pretty mapped out, although I'm sure there are some elements that changed inside of it, but I feel like they had the basic bones of it sort of like mapped out all the way until like Endgame, right? But with this, it feels like after Endgame, they didn't really have like I guess a plan, and so it feels like there's no like hard plan right now, that it was just like you have a bunch of like placeholders, you know what I mean? That's what it feels like right now, where it's just like stuff that is like, okay, this could lead somewhere, but also we could just drop this all together and never come back to it. It doesn't feel like anything besides WandaVision, arguably not arguably, but Loki, and then Spider-Man No Way From Home, everything else. But we've gotten so much content. Like we got Black Widow, we got all of the shows, right? So you got Hawkeye, you got exactly,
which is really good.
I thought it was okay. You got Falcon and Winter Soldier, now Captain America and Winter Soldier. You got Moon Knight. We got Eternals. Like we got all of these things, but they all kind of feel like, okay, that could lead somewhere, but also maybe not.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
hindsight's always 2020, right? I mean, I remember, when we were in phase 1 and 2 of the MCU, it was like you kind of saw some connections, like, oh, that character was in this movie, or like, oh, they mentioned this character in that movie, and you kind of saw that some of the stuff were connected, kind of like what we're seeing now. But I can't say that I knew Endgame or Infinity War was coming, right? So I think what's happening right now, like you said, we've got all of these things happening. There's WandaVision, Loki. There's
Well, I
Winter
would
Soldier and Falcon,
I
and it
would
seems like they're all
argue
disconnected.
I would
But
argue that we did know that Endgame was coming, even though we didn't know the movie. We did know Endgame was coming in that it was the end of the Thanos storyline, and Thanos was the one consistent thing throughout all of. And when I say Thanos, what I'm really trying to say is the Infinity Stones. I guess you could call the whole thing the Infinity Saga, right? The Infinity Stones were really the only consistent throughout the entirety of the first three phases. What I'm saying is that, and I guess you could argue that the multiverse is that thing now. But all I'm trying to say is that it felt way more cohesive in the
mhm.
first three phases versus now where it feels like we have a bunch of like threads, but nothing's like. Uh, and I guess that's what the argument is too, is that Doctor Strange might clear up like where exactly like we're going with this. But either way,
Yeah, I
the
feel like
movie
right
opens
now
this
we
way.
have like a bunch of ingredients in the kitchen, right? And
Yeah.
it's like when you're watching those cooking shows, and you're just like, what is this person making? Like they've got all these ingredients: the flour, the sugar, the spices. They got
Uh,
meat. There's like weird shit over there. They got like candy butter. What are they gonna do with the candy butter?
candy butter.
And then you see them start to cook, and you're like, okay, okay,
Yeah.
let Russ cook. And then at the end of the show, Gordon Ramsay, he's like he eats it and he enjoys it. And I feel like that's what we're gonna get.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll at least get some clarification this week with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Moving on and talking about the MCU, I did want to touch on real quick, and we're just kind of jumping to other headlines here. I saw late last week, maybe it was late last week. So there are a bunch of I don't know. I guess people calling for Chris Pratt to be replaced as Star Lord. Have you heard about this?
Yes, I've heard about it. I saw who is James Gunn's response to it,
Yeah.
basically saying like, you know, in short order, like there's absolutely no way we're gonna replace Chris Pratt. Like he is Star Lord, he is our guy. Um, I don't. I'm not a huge Chris Pratt fan. I
Mm.
don't love the guy, but I think he is very well suited for this particular role. I think replacing him at this point seems silly. They've got two upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy's projects. Um, could they have maybe casted someone better? Maybe, but there's always someone like who maybe could have done a better job. But I think Chris Pratt has done a really good job in this character and in this role.
Yeah.
And this is silly.
Yeah, and it's tough, right? Because you don't want to be watching some sort of like big tentpole thing that you're a fan of, and know that the person you're watching is kind of a piece of shit. Now, I'm not saying that Chris Pratt is a piece of shit. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying your perception of that person. I have no idea. Like, I guess the big thing that they're saying about Chris Pratt is that he's a part of some sort of church that is against the LGBTQ community. Now, I don't know this to be true myself, nor am I going to try to make some sort of definitive answer. I have not looked into it, nor do I care enough to look into it. I'll be perfectly honest with you. But I could understand where that's coming from. Now, I think the problem becomes the problem becomes when we feel like we have to make demands, or how should I rephrase this? It's weird when social media makes everything weird. And what I mean by that is that like you just get some random person on Twitter saying, "Hey, we should do this," and then like the fucking director of the film's like, "No, we won't do that," and it's like, why are you even responding? Like, I don't I don't understand. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Like it's some random person on Twitter, and I guess there's a swelling of people saying that Chris Pratt should be replaced, but it's not as if like people are picketing in front of fucking, or it might be, I don't fucking know, but like it doesn't seem like that's the case where they're picketing in front of fucking Disney saying, hey, you must replace Chris or some shit. So I don't know what the impetus for the response is. Like it's just like, just keep making your movies, dude. I don't think anybody like I don't understand like why you took the time out of your day to respond to this, you know. I'm sorry.
Like I hate that fact that like some clown on the internet in like his, you know, fucking mom's basement or whatever can make a comment online, and then if James Gunn is just strolling through Twitter one day or wherever and just happens to see it and says, you know what, I've got time today, I'm going to respond to this, that it becomes like a real story for some weird reason. It's like a response to something is not a confirmation that like the thing exists or it's real or there's like a potential hood, especially if his response is saying like, yo, no, this is not going to ever happen. Like that should be where the story ends. But because it's clickbait, right? It's buzzworthy. It's what is it called? Is buzzworthy the term?
Yeah, I believe so.
Is that okay? Cool. So. Hey, listen, I'm getting old. It's buzzworthy, right?
Yeah.
And people catch on to it, and then they make it a bigger story than what it actually was. And I feel like that's all this is. Some clown said on the internet that, oh, let's replace Chris Pratt. James Gunn responded. That should have been the end of it. But like, because it's interesting, people are, oh, let's run with this thing and make it more than.
But I guess that's what I'm saying is that it's because James Gunn responded to it that is the reason. Like if James Gunn never responds to it, I think maybe you still get a few people talking about it, but it doesn't turn into like kind of what it has. And it's like James Gunn brought more attention to it by talking about it. And I know it's a double-edged sword, right? If you let something go unaddressed, then it becomes, you know, it takes on a life of its own. But then if you do, like it's like the classic Eminem. I remember Eminem went through this with MGK, right? When the MGK, who shot first? I think
MGK kind of like shot first offline.
No, yeah, it was like in real life.
His track after that,
yeah,
like offline in real life because it was. I think MGK said something about his daughter.
And yeah.
And then I think they got into it like, you know, offline, and then Eminem was like, all right, I'm gonna drop a diss track because that's what I do. And then MGK responded. And then since then he's been doing like vampire shit. And
yo, him and Megan Fox are wilding out, yo. But also there are people like there are outlets that are putting this out who know people are doing way weirder shit, but are like selective in like what they like. Oh, Megan Fox, she's weird. But it's just like, yo, I think there are a lot of people in Hollywood in general that are fucking weird who do some really fucking weird shit.
It's clickbait, right? But back to this whole like James Gunn thing and this thing with Chris Pratt. I think that James Gunn was kind of in a position similar to what like a head coach would be if, let's say, some like beat writer from some like small newspaper or like some like blog.
But like, even that comparison is what makes me like is what puzzles me is like. So we're comparing a beat writer and I'm not saying you're wrong about the comparison, but what I'm saying is just like it seems crazy to me that some random person on Twitter, even if they have like a huge following, and I guess that sort of makes sense now that I'm saying it out loud, is like, well, if you have a huge following on Twitter, isn't that equivalent of like if you're some beat writer somewhere and you have, I guess, an audience from that?
Yeah. And you don't have to have any type of like credentials, insider information. You're not like Ian Rappaport, right? Not that he always even has like credible information.
No, I don't. Like, no. I am in full support of Ian Rappaport. It's Adam Schefter that's a piece of shit. Adam Schefter's the worst. Yeah. Adam Schefter's the worst.
But I think with this, you know, James Gunn may have been in a situation where it's like, hey, I'm the head coach of this team, and someone's questioning whether or not my quarterback is the right person for the job.
Yeah.
I need my quarterback to be confident to know that, hey, like, you know, you're our guy. So I'm going to respond to this thing.
Yeah.
And his response should have deaded it, but instead, because it's like, because he responded, his response itself became a story of its own.
Yeah.
I think it's just silly.
Yeah, it is. And but I could also add in that I'm sure one of the reasons why he felt he had to respond is because he kind of went through that, right? When people started digging up old tweets of his, and then basically he was fired from Guardians of the Galaxy. And then he went on to do he just went right across the street. He was like, all right, well, fuck you guys then. He went and then directed the Suicide Squad. That's how we got the Suicide Squad, you know, was from his departure from from
even
Guardians
though
of
it
the
wasn't
Galaxy.
good, Marvel was like, yeah, we don't want you doing any more of that shit. You know what I mean? Come back and work for us.
Yeah. Then he double dipped, so he came out ahead on that. But I imagine that's part of that is what is fueling his response there is that like he obviously works closely with Chris Pratt, so I'm sure he feels like he knows him and wants to defend his character, especially from people like on Twitter, which is where the whole thing about James Gunn got started, as far as like his old tweets and things like that. So, anyways, a lot of that shit going on these days, man. I am in general, man. I am just tired of. As you sort of watch the world sort of just spin, you're just like, is this what we're gonna do? Is this it?
Yeah.
For the next like however long we're here as fucking human beings, which honestly increasingly doesn't seem like very much longer. Is this what we're gonna? This is the big thing now? This is what we're.
Yeah.
This is where
Sometimes
the conversation
I
is.
see like news stories that like are on like the news cycle, right? I'm just like, why is this the story when there's so many more important things to be talking about? Like, this is what we're going to talk about. Yeah. Sometimes it's alarming. You're like, yo, we're not
where we need. We love it as human beings, but that's I think that's the part of it that gets me is that like we could easily change the conversation, right? We could easily talk about something else. Like even us on the podcast, we're talking about it now.
You're right.
Me, who I brought
we could be covering the Ukraine and Russia debacle, but we're talking about movies.
I mean, we're talking about movies because we love movies, right? But the salaciousness,
lies.
No. But the salaciousness of it all, I guess, is what my point is right? Is like this becomes like we're literally. I'm reading this article from CNN. CNN picked this article up. Now, it's obviously it's a part of their entertainment division, but still, it's like. Yo, this is why don't you just leave this shit for TMZ? Like what? Like why? Or anyways, it doesn't.
Yeah, who's running the entertainment division?
Yeah, but I tell you what, man. There are some bright spots though. One of them being Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yo, is still crushing it in theaters. So it had an initial theatrical run, and because everybody saw it's just catching on like wildfire. Its theatrical run has been extended, so much so that it's being reintroduced to IMAX theaters, which is fucking incredible, dude. To have 2 runs in IMAX, that's fucking big, dude. That's real fucking big for a movie with people with hot dog fingers.
Yeah, if there's a movie that ever deserved this movie, like I literally tell everybody I can about this movie. I'm like, yo, this is a stellar film.
Yeah, I'm still buzzing about the movie, and it's been well over a week since I've seen it. But it's returning to IMAX, so that's some great news. So who knows how long this run is going to be for this movie that it had a budget of about I think 25 million, and it's clearly. Recouping that, in spades, and so look, man, I don't know if it's too early. Obviously, this is going to be well, I say long year, but it might be a short year.
Are we talking Oscar contention here?
Forget Oscar contention. This, to me, this is the movie of the year, like hands down, both commercially as well as just quality. Like it's such a fucking great movie.
If they were to announce it now, I'm cool with that. Like ahead of time. Like
somebody else has to make somebody else has to make their case. Like if this movie is the movie of the year unless somebody else makes a solid case. Like it can't be like one of them. I don't know. It's got to be like hands down. This shit is fire, bro. So yeah, to me right now, I don't know what movie's going to beat this movie as far as being the best picture of the year.
Of all the movies coming out soon, or at least like over the course of this year. Granted, now I don't know everything that's coming down the pipeline, but there's not anything that I've seen or heard that I'm even excited about that even makes me like feel what I felt. I remember when we watched the trailer for that, I was just like, yo, I really
looks interesting.
Like this. I love the title. The movie looks interesting. The cast looks great. There's something about this. I can't think of another movie right now that has made me that excited to see it and over-delivered on it, actually.
Sonic 2.
I really enjoyed Sonic 2. I don't know if it's an Oscar.
Yeah. But so we began the podcast by talking about you know, we mentioned John Watts exiting Fantastic Four. So let's just talk about it now. John Watts, who he directed the first three, or not the first three, because clearly there's been an abundance of Spider-Man movies. He directed Tom Holland's iteration of Spider-Man, all three of the films, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and then Spider-Man No Way Home, and wildly successful movies. Right? I think universally, I would have to argue that it's the most successful, both commercially as well as critically, of the three iterations we've had of Spider-Man, at least the movies that we've gotten. Um, Clearly, this last batch of films was the best out of all three of those. You could argue that the first two Tobey Maguire movies were probably maybe considered better as far as like the story and quality and all that, but all three movies put together, and Garfield's didn't even get a third movie. We didn't even get another Amazing Spider-Man.
I
Um,
always forget about that one.
I don't. I never thought it was as bad as everybody else seemed to think it was. There are a few movies out there where I'm like, damn man, nobody is feeling this joint. Like,
Yeah.
and that's one of them. Is I never understood why everybody hates it. So like they hate that iteration of Spider-Man. But anyways, so whoops, we seem to have lost our picture here. Let's get that back up real quick. Nope. Shoot. Shoot.
Oh, we lost our feed.
Yeah, sort of. Okay. All right. The best way to do this would be something. Give me 1 sec here, and I can solve. We can still talk. It's just I gotta change what people are saying real quick. Quick banter. Talk about John Watts and him dropping out of Fantastic Four. What does that mean for they can't seem to get Fantastic Four right, dude. Every time they try to put out a Fantastic Four movie, it seems to just fall apart.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's coming from the top, right? Where it's not a matter of like the writing, it's not a matter of who's directing the project or who's starring in it. I feel like this decision is just like, or I feel like with the Fantastic Four project in general, it's just a matter of difference of opinion coming from the top. Whereas people are like, hey, we want to tell this story or we want to tell that story. Let's tell like a heartwarming family story. Let's like really tell like maybe like a deeper, darker Fantastic Four story and explore their powers and the whole world that can be built around this thing. And then other people are like, hey, let's tell the story that's going to be the most profitable. Explosions, a little bit of fighting, some romance, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's like make something that's going to sell. But for whatever reason, whoever's attached to this project, whoever like the decision makers are, and historically on these projects, has not been able to get this thing right. Fantastic Four has some dope characters. You got like Johnny Blaze or Johnny Torch or whatever, Thing, Reed Richards, Invisible Woman. A lot of really dope characters that can do some awesome things. I just don't. Every time they tell a Fantastic Four story, it just feels like incoherent. Like, what is the purpose of the story? How does it connect to any other? How does it connect to like this comic book universe? And also like why? The last two Fantastic Four movies that I've seen haven't been horrible, but you finish watching the movie and like you're always left with that question of like, okay, well, what was the purpose of this? And I don't think they ever answer that question.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say
the
that.
Last one, they went to space. They were on a space mission, and then that's how they got their powers.
Well, isn't that always how they get their powers?
Was it? No, I thought the last time something like came from space to Earth, and then in the most recent movie they went to space. I could be wrong, but very similar to like the first Venom movie, right, where the symbiotes just like crash landed on Earth, and then now we're just driving around the city. It's like, why? You know why? They never do a good job at like giving you a reason to believe these characters, their story, and their mission.
Well put. Well put. But and getting back on track here now that I got us back up and running here. We the reason why I brought the Spider-Man movies up, obviously because John Watts is directing and he directed those. He was set to direct this Fantastic Four movie, which was supposed to sort of obviously reboot the franchise. And we saw sort of like his ability to reboot a franchise with Spider-Man, and that to me is a tougher out than Fantastic Four, because we're not really expecting too much from Fantastic Four. Just give us something that is not, you know, what we got with the first two movies. Because I would argue that the Michael B. Jordan movie wasn't the worst thing I ever seen in my life. You know, again, don't shoot me here, but wasn't the craziest thing I've ever seen.
It wasn't horrible.
It wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst. You know, and I think that there were a lot of people who kind of made it seem like it was the worst when it really wasn't. You know, but anyway. So we're going to get he dropped out of Fantastic Four. The story that they're giving is that he was just burnt out from doing the first three Spider-Man movies, or the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and that he just needed a break from superhero movies. I suspect something else is going on there, because I'm pretty sure you would know that I'm tired of doing superhero movies after your third Spider-Man movie, right?
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, you know what?
Working on Fantastic Four and then be like, oh, you know what? I'm a little bit burnt out. No, yeah. It's probably
unless they offered him so much money that he was just like, fuck. When does the start date? Fuck. All right.
All right. And then after a while, he's just like, you know what? I just don't have it in the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? But I highly doubt it was just that. It was just that, oh, I'm burnt out. I want to spend more time with my wife and kids and the family. Like,
well, what's also weird is
that walk away from like $20 million like that just because you're burnt out.
Well, also it's kind of weird because it's not even just that, or they don't even say that. They're just like, he's about to go like work on another movie, and so it's just like, so the only reason why he's not doing this movie is because it's a superhero movie. That seems odd. And so
if you're working for a company and the CEO dumps all of his stock and says, hey, I'm going to go work on something else, like the company's going under and you should look for another job.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Those are what we like to call red flags, is what I believe the term for that is. So anyways, shout out to John Watts, man. And this is what I was talking about earlier, man. So, I really do fuck with people who are just like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. You know, like, because I'm sure he had all the pressure in the world to stay with the project, right? Both from the fact that contractually obligated, right? As well as the fact that they were wanting a good Fantastic Four movie, and they're like, hey, here's somebody who's able to not only reboot the Spider-Man franchise, but take us into different spaces with it, and to sort of make it arguably better than what it was. Even though it had pre-existing material, they're like, he's the perfect person to do Fantastic Four. So I'm sure he had a ton of pressure to stick with the project, but he was still like, yeah, I'm going to do this other shit. I'll see you guys later. You know,
hey man, what perfect? That's gonna be my new excuse from now on. I'm burnt out. I mean, oh hey, Arain, are you coming to our wedding? It's a little bit burnt out.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of them lately. Yeah, are you gonna make this meeting? A little bit burnt out.
You know what?
1 o'clock.
I've had a lot of movies lately, or I've had a lot of meetings lately. Just meeting fatigue, you know.
It's Monday. 9 a.m. Next time I'm at the strip club, the girl's like, "Are you tipping?" I'm like,
just feeling a little burnt out, right?
Yeah, you're the 5th girl on stage and it's burnt out. That's my next favorite excuse.
Oh man. So, anyways, moving on from that, another person who's pulling some shit out, 50 Cent pulls the series The Massacre from Stars and Slate. Yo, his his beef with stars needs to be serialized. We need to get those people who do the like all the fucking like what was the movie? What is the show that you watched recently with the girl with Julia Gardner from
Anna Delvey.
Yeah.
The whole, what was that called again?
Yeah, like what do they call this?
Inventing Anna.
Yeah, what do they call these things? They call them like not a docu-series, but like
biopics.
shit, I forget exactly what the fucking term is.
I think it was a mini, like a docu-series.
Yeah, it's like but it's not a docu-series because it's a fictional thing. So, but anyways, what I'm trying to get at is they need to recreate that shit, but with 50 Cent and stars, asks like the primary characters here, because his beef with stars is like now it's just legendary at this point. It goes from him saying that they're leaking episodes of the show to like they don't want to show the show, call them incompetent, probably spit in somebody's face at some point in time, I'm sure. But now he's just pulled a series all together. So let's read a little bit about this. Revolving around 50's 2005 beef with the rap of the game ahead of the release of the sophomore album. I guess they talk about this the massacre. However, in a post to social media over the weekend, 50 revealed that it will no longer be moving forward at Stars and that he would find a new network with a better fit. Hey guys, I decided I don't want to move forward with the massacre and Stars production slate. 50 captioned in an IG post. It's a waste of time. Yo, 50's dirty. Carefully. Yo, he's dirty, dude. He said it's a waste of time and money. Sir, how can I do business?
I want like HBO, like a big network to pick up like a docu-series of him and his like working relationship with stars.
Yeah, they have to, dude. I'm trying to tell you.
Inside working with stars. And it's like an HBO miniseries and they're just like dogging him the whole time.
Just saying all sorts of things about them and their kids.
You know who does it best that I feel like is underrated? Insurance companies like dog each other all the time.
Oh, they do on the low.
Kind of cheap, dirty, cut rate insurance. Yeah. And they'll show the general in a car. They're like, switch to Allstate. It's like, yo, Allstate went for the general. Like, insurance companies have like hip hop beats, like gang beats.
Yeah. They start like, fuck Jay-Z. What?
Like, I feel like in the next commercial, Allstate's gonna like be like, yo, like, fuck that gecko.
Yeah, I mean, they've done everything but that. Like, they like in one of their commercials, they like, are you tired of people knowing you just because of the mascot? Like, and then they had like some type of like little like lizard or some shit. Like they're like, man, fuck that guy. Yo, it's so dirty, dude. You're right, man. Insurance companies are pretty fucking cutthroat when it comes to this fucking turf warfare that they've got going on. But yeah, we should get them on the case of this 50 Cent and Stars beef, because that shit is turning into an epic case, man. He said it was a waste of time and money and it doesn't fit the new premium women's mandate over here. I don't even know what the fuck that means. Premium women's mandate. What the fuck is 50 talking about? It was a companion piece with Snoop's Murder Was the Case. I'll find a new network better fit to tell my story, Lionsgate. So I don't know. I don't know where he plans to take that. I don't know if it's BET. Maybe he plans to take that too. I'm not quite sure who else. Maybe Showtime might seem like they're kind of in that wheelhouse of maybe a 50% produced. I don't see it going to like HBO and Netflix. Maybe Netflix. Maybe Netflix. I don't see much else going on with it though. Here I'll put myself on screen and mute you, and keep talking. Okay.
I had to look to my right for a moment here.
Okay. But anyways.
But yeah, so like this whole like 50 thing with Stars, it's been going on a while now, and I feel like the more it happens, it's like time and time again. It happened with Power. It happened with the different Power book series. I think there was another project he did with Stars, and it's just like, these people are incompetent. None of this makes like working with these group of people. It's more trouble than it's worth. So for him now to pull the series from the entire network and say we're going to find someone else to do it because it's going to be a waste of time and money, it really is making the people at Stars look bad. and it's either their fault or it's his fault.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if it's necessarily
First,
I don't know if it's necessarily making them look bad, because I feel like 50 has like a history of just saying a lot of wild things. So I don't like
yeah,
it. Kind of just comes across as like he's just being the same petty old 50. You know what I mean? Like I don't think
yeah,
it comes across as like, oh my god, things must be so terrible as stars. I think he's just like, and especially if we don't hear anybody else like, and obviously I'm sure there's nobody else at stars who carries himself like 50 Cent carries himself. So I'm sure a lot of that shit wouldn't get made public anyways. But it's not like you hear rumblings, right? Like of like, oh man, it's just so bad at stars. It's really only from 50 that you're hearing like everything's terrible. And I'm not trying to invalidate him. He might be having a terrible experience, and they might be doing a pretty shitty job with producing all of this content. But given 50s is like, the old story of the boy who cried wolf, right? It's
yeah.
50s fucking talk shit so much that it's kind of just like, all right, well, cool.
Yeah, it's like the first person to tell the story, like they really have their pick of how the story is told, or they can shape the narrative. And then after that, all you're really doing is playing catch up. You're trying to like invalidate what that person may have said, right?
Yeah.
But for someone like 50 Cent, if he is the first to run to Twitter and tell this story before Stars gets to issue like a statement about what exactly happened, then his story is going to be the first one everyone hears, and it's hard to unhear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe, but the people at Stars, they've been handling it well. I haven't heard anything messy coming out of Stars.
Yeah,
I guess they know who they're in bed with, and they're just like, all right, this is what we signed up for.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's been successful. We just have to take a little bit of verbal abuse on Twitter, and then we'll iron it out.
Yeah, well, now it's costing them money because now they've had an entire series pulled from the network. Now, and one could argue is we're hearing 50 side of that, so
yeah, I mean,
maybe he pulled it, maybe they stopped it. I don't know.
Yeah, because Stars could have easily been like, yo, we were never going to go forward with that project anyway.
Exactly.
Then, but for him, in order to resell it, he has to make it look like, hey, I pulled it.
Exactly. And he kind of knows they're not going to come out and set the record straight, so it's kind of just like, let me just take a chance on this. And we don't know if that's the case. We don't know if that's, exactly sort of how things played out. But again, given 50's very sort of checkered past, we're not leaving that out of the realm possibility. I did want to try to talk about the Bill Murray thing a little bit, but you know what? I don't. Bill Murray did some shit. We still don't know what the fuck Bill Murray did to get. I don't know if you heard about this. Him getting, or they stopped production on Ansari's new movie that he's directing, and it was because of something that Bill Murray did. Nobody knows what the fuck happened, but Bill Murray basically came out.
It's interesting because it follows. I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago. Another story had like kind of floated back up to the surface of Lucy Liu, and how just talking about how like her relationship with Bill Murray and I think Cameron Diaz as well after the filming of the Charlie's Angels movies like really took a downturn because he like made like inappropriate sexual comments towards Lucy Liu, or maybe been like a inappropriate like racial comment. And it seems like Bill Murray has maybe had a history of this, and a lot of that stuff is now coming to the light. Yeah. I feel bad for Aziz, man. He's such a great guy. I love his last.
Yeah, man. He's taken a lot of lumps in his career, and look, it's hard for me to say I feel bad for him because he's gotten a chance to do a lot of shit, but it seems like he's caught
Aziz is
in some sort of thing.
And it's like usually he's not even like a bad guy in this situation. He just like gets like looped into these like crappy situations.
Yeah, I mean, and
like, like on like Kevin Hart level, but he got me too'd. So
what happened with Aziz again, and not to ruffle any feathers, but it was the first time where everybody's like, well, I don't know if this necessarily means he's a bad guy. It just means that maybe it was just like a shitty date, right? And I would pose it as like that was an argument though. It's not me saying that, oh, he was definitively wrong or he was definitively right or fine or whatever the case is. It's just that it was two people on a date who saw the date very differently, and that started a conversation, and so I feel like, and then he just like went away for like 2 or 3 years until he sort of came back with actually the third season of of Masters of None, which
Hmm.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't care for it. Bless Lena Waithe, right? That's her name, right? Lena Waithe, I believe. But bless her heart. But that the third season was just like it was. I saw what they were going for and it was good, but it just, given the first two seasons of the show, it was such a sharp turn that it was like too sharp of a turn. It was like, well, you could have like, it was like isolated, from the rest of the show, and so it just is like, this would have been great as like an addendum to the show, but as far as being an entire third season of the show, this was just like kind of like way out of left field. But in any case, anyways, I'm getting lost down that rabbit hole. But basically, Bill Murray said, I did something that I thought was funny, and it wasn't taken that way. And then he go on to say, trying to make peace. He said that him and I guess the other person involved were trying to make peace with each other. And he said, we were both professionals. We like each other's work. We like each other's. We like each other. If we can't really get along and trust each other, then there's no point in going forward further with working together or making the movie as well. It's been quite an education for me. So all of these comments have been from Murray. Again, we still don't know exactly what the fuck he did, and to whom he did it to, or whom he said it to. But yeah, I don't know if there's much more to add to this. Other than, man, look, Bill Murray's a fucking he's a dinosaur, dude. Like, and this comes from, I'm a Bill Murray fan. I don't know if I'm as much of a fan as like I think a lot of other people are, but I'm a fan of his. But he definitely, even in his time, felt like he was from a previous time. You know what I mean? Like even in his prime, he felt like he was from like decades earlier. And that's how he sort of carries himself, and he kind of just like doesn't give a fuck like about much, in terms of filtering himself or anything like that. So it's like, this strikes me as like, what the fuck did he say? Because it's like, it's Bill Murray.
I respect his lack of a filter. I've always enjoyed that about him.
Yeah.
But like, to your point, like, I've never been like a huge Bill Murray fan. If Bill Murray has a movie coming out, I'm not like, oh my God, let's.
No, he has produced some bangers. Let's not try to act like.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not discrediting the work that he's done.
Yeah.
But I've just never been like a huge Bill Murray fan.
Yeah.
And I think he might be. I'm not going to say he's like past his prime, but he's got to be like.
No, he's literally 71 years old. Yeah.
Really?
71.
Damn, that's crazy. Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, 77, but looks younger than Bill Murray.
Because it's fucking Bill Murray. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a world-class bodybuilder.
That is true.
Bill Murray.
I feel like there are people who are like, he just looks a lot older. He looks like he's just.
In the movie, what's the movie called? Zombieland, where he makes a guest appearance. Did you ever watch Zombieland?
Not really, no.
Okay, well, he plays a zombie in Zombieland. It was like, I don't think they had to make too much of an effort with the makeup to get him where he needs to go.
Probably none at all.
He just showed up. They're like, you know what? I was thinking we had to spend some time in makeup today, but you know what? I think you're good. Yeah. I think you just go to set. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, and they were like, what he was wearing. They were like, he was like, well, is there like should I wear something else? They're like, no, you know what? Just wear that. Just roll around in the dirt over there really quickly. And stand in front of the camera.
But anyways, so who knows what the fuck Bill? It had to be bad, dude, for them to basically just shut the entire movie down instead of just like pulling him. It had to be bad. Like it's either it's bad or the whole thing is just really stupid and it's a whole to do about nothing. But I can't imagine they're going to shut. Unless there's something else going. I don't know. I'm always super conspiratorial about like shit like this because it's like, in order for something like that to happen, to shut an entire movie down,
it had to have compromised the entire project.
Well, one, either it compromised the entire project, or there was somebody who just needed an excuse to just shut the thing down, right? Somebody who's looking to shut the shit down and was like,
like maybe the project was like near budget or over budget.
And they're like, what are we gonna do? And then Bill Murray says some wild ass shit. You were like, you know what? Good as reason as any. Shut the shit down, So
hopefully we get some news about this as far as what happened. I love Aziz Ansari. I feel like he's just had like a rough go of it over the past like 2 or 3 years. So hopefully this project rebounds and we figure out what exactly happened. They start reshooting and we get to see whatever he's working on, because I just think he just does really great work.
For sure, dude. And let's power through the rest of these because we want to try to make it a little bit of a quicker night tonight. We got 2 trailers and then we got 1 or 2 stories that we're going to talk about. But let's get to our first trailer. Our first trailer here is, dude, do you ever watch Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers when you were young?
Never.
Never? Ever? Like you've never even seen it?
No.
Damn, dude. What? How?
What is it?
Chip 'n Dale's Rescue. What, I don't know what else to say. It's just like I have nothing. You know what? Fuck it. Let me not even talk about it. Let's just watch the trailer, right? So we get a live action film featuring animated versions of Disney's Chipmunks, Chip and Dale. This is directed by Akiva Schaffer and written by Dan Gregor as well as Doug Mann. With all sorts of talent in this movie. J.K. Simmons, Will Arnett, Seth Rogen. Andy Samberg, among others. This is due out May 20th of this particular year. Let's check out the trailer for Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. Yeah, we were just talking about that shit. Yeah, I fuck with it.
Yeah, it's giving me Who Killed Roger Rabbit vibes, right? Mixing like live action with Toon World stuff.
But it's cool how they did like both the CGI and then the animation. That's fucking dope.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, that was different. I had not seen that one before. Not bad. I mean, I could deal with that.
Dude, I fuck with that pretty hard, dude. Like, cause they did a couple of things that was interesting. First of all, I don't know if you caught it. Seth Rogen was, I forget which one it is.
Pumbaa.
Pumbaa is that who that was? Yep. But he actually did play Pumbaa in The Lion King.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like pulled like directly from there. I don't know exactly sort of like what the situation is there, but it's fucking dope that like I guess they're
nice little double dip.
Yeah, well, double dip, but I think they might be building that world into this world, and I don't know. So I thought that was pretty dope.
I also saw one of the dwarves from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So there are a couple nuggets in there.
Yeah.
Not as bad. I didn't. So now after having seen the trailer, I do remember Chip 'n Dale, but I did not beforehand. But looks pretty good. I'm not gonna hate on it.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd like run to theaters to go see it, but it is actually on streaming. So I don't know if depending on like how vulgar the content is, might be like a weird, wacky movie night, smoke something and watch Chippendale.
Yeah. Dude, we got one more trailer and then we're gonna deuce out of here.
Yeah, let's wrap up.
Yeah, for sure. Let's check this trailer out for Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I'm not even gonna do the intro for it. We're just gonna jump right into this trailer for Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Love the title.
Yeah.
I like it.
I fuck with it, dude. I fuck
like
with
it.
that hard, dude. That shit looks
I love the
wild.
social commentary, which is like some of it's laughable. Oh, you're silencing me. Like, you know, respect me as a person in my space. Like, shut up. I feel like there's going to be so much social commentary in this movie. And it's the A24 project. They have not missed in a long time.
They tend not to miss. But the one thing I can say about this, man, is like about the social commentary stuff. It feels like we're kind of boomeranging around, right? Where like the younger generation is kind of like able to make fun of the hypersensitivity, and I'm not even saying hypersensitivity in like a bad way, because I feel like our culture, especially here in America, can use a little sense of more sensitivity than we, have had in the past. But it seems like it's boomeranging around, where it's just like now you can kind of poke fun of it a little bit,
Yeah, because some of the
cool.
stuff is just like out of this world. You know what I mean? Like, I love this scene where it's like, I guess like one girl shot another girl, right?
Yeah.
And she's, oh, you're making this about you right now? It's like, oh, yeah. There are people like that, which is the craziest part.
Yeah.
But Pete Davidson also has not missed recently. A24 project, they haven't missed recently. Yeah, this movie looks good.
It looks dope, man.
What was the release date on this one?
So this is being released August 5th of this year.
Okay, great month. Love it. Like it a lot.
For sure, man. All right, let's wrap it up, man. Let's let you get out of here. I did want to talk about Vin Diesel and the Fast and Furious, but we'll reserve that maybe for next week. Maybe when we have like a little bit more information.
Listen. We've got 4 more movies coming apparently. I guess we'll be talking about him a lot longer than we all and any of us want to.
Yeah. But what the fuck is going on with Vin Diesel, man? He's got to be terrible in order for all these people to drop out.
Won't go away. Testicular cancer.
Jesus Christ. All right. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. Share this shit with anybody and everybody. We'll be back same time, same place next week. With that being said, we will hit the very usual protocol if the outro is working here. I'm not hearing it on my end.
We'll do it anyway.
Yeah,
Fade out.
We'll do it live.
Love you, Vin Diesel.
Ladies and gentlemen, peace out.